Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal? Huh? Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else. A secure, he just said take it back. And that's a good idea.
They're charging us fees. You know why they're charging us fees? Because it's their canal. And that's kind of how it works. What are we doing here? What is this? Did Trump get elected to invade Panama?
He made 34 posts in, I believe it was an hour, 60 minutes, 34 posts.
Very unlikely that he is going to invade Panama, Greenland, or Canada. And if he did, though, it would break the land speed record on irony. Anti-war, we're definitely anti-war, anti-war. I mean, we're gonna invade Panama, Greenland, and Canada, but we're anti-war.
So Trump is coming in hot as we get closer and closer to his inauguration. And now he wants control of the Panama Canal. The problem is, as the name would imply, control of the canal currently belongs to Panama. So Trump floated the idea at the Turning Point USA conference in Arizona. Here's what he asked his attendees.
Has anyone ever heard of the Panama Canal? Huh? Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else. A secure, he just said take it back. And that's a good idea.
Okay, so Trump is upset that the US is being charged what he considers to be exorbitant fees to use the canal. He believes that the US should not have to pay for them, and here's why.
The United States is the #1 user of the Panama Canal with over 72% of all transits heading to or from US ports. Think of that. So we built it. We're the ones that use it. They gave it away.
So when he says they gave it away, he's talking about the Democrats, specifically the Carter administration. In 1977, a series of treaties were signed between the US and Panama that gave Panama full control of the canal starting in 1999. So now, 25 years later, Trump would like to reverse the accomplishments of those treaties. The Panamanian president did respond to Trump's suggestion that the Panama Canal should instead be the United States Canal in a video he posted on X. The president spoke Spanish during the address, and he did not mention Trump's name, but per translation, this is what he had to say about the fees that Trump is mad about. He said that the fees are established publicly and in an open hearing, considering market conditions, international competition, operating costs, and the maintenance and modernization needs of the interoceanic route. This is how we achieved the expansion of the canal in 2016, which today represents greater economic and commercial growth, generating more wealth and opportunities throughout the world and its commerce. The canal has no direct or indirect control, neither from China nor from the European community, nor from the United States or from any other power. Okay, so let's pivot a little bit. This isn't the first time that Trump has tried to expand the US holdings abroad. If you'll remember from his first administration, Trump wanted to buy Greenland from Denmark. Take a look.
Greenland, I don't know, it got released somehow. It's just something we talked about. Denmark essentially owns it. We're very good allies with Denmark. We protect Denmark like we protect large portions of the world. So the concept came up, and I said, certainly I'd be strategically, it's interesting, and we'd be interested, but we'll talk to them a little bit.
Yeah, so the problem was then and still is now that Greenland is not for sale, which is bad news for Trump because apparently as he's coming back into the White House, he still wants to buy Greenland. But back when this first came up, Trump said that this was basically just a real estate deal. Now the stakes, it would seem, are much higher. So in a post on X, Trump announced Ken Howery as his pick for the US ambassador to the Kingdom of Denmark. In the post, he said, for purposes of national security and freedom throughout the world, the United States of America feels that ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity. Whatever that even means, I don't know. But who is Ken Howery, the ambassador? Well, he was Trump's former ambassador to Sweden, so he does have some experience dealing with the Scandinavian nations. But perhaps more importantly, he is one of the co-founders of PayPal. Two other notable co-founders of PayPal are billionaires Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. Elon Musk, as I said, is our de facto president-elect right now, and he has plenty of reason to want the US to acquire Greenland. Hidden within Greenland's immense sheet of ice is coal and copper and zinc. And copper, that's the one. It has lots of copper, and these tech guys, like they need the copper. They want it so badly. Elon Musk specifically needs copper to mass manufacture batteries for his electric vehicles. To that end, last year, he actually met with the prime minister of Mongolia to discuss an investment in the country. Mongolia also has a ton of copper. And additionally, AI will nearly double the global demand for copper in the coming years. And copper is already in short supply. So whoever controls the resources controls the market. Trump also isn't the first US president who has expressed interest in Greenland, which is basically a giant sheet of ice. Back in the 1940s, President Truman tried to buy it for $100 million. And if he had succeeded, it would have been the largest territorial expansion in US history, bigger than Alaska and bigger than the Louisiana Purchase. Cenk, the minute Trump says anything like, oh, let's call it the United States Canal or let's buy Greenland, his supporters immediately jump on that. They hate the Panama Canal now. They think they're being ripped off. They hate Panama for controlling the canal that literally bisects their nation. And they hate China for trying to control it. So we have to control it before China does. It's all these things that are just coming up all of a sudden right now. And it's always a little bizarre to me how quickly his supporters just immediately fall in line with whatever comes out of his mouth, even if they don't really understand it. So what do you make of all this?
Okay, so let's say a handle one at a time on Panama. Has anybody ever heard of the Panama Canal? Yes, brother, we've heard of the Panama Canal. Okay, he always says like this is the first time he's ever heard of it. I'm not saying that that's the case. He was president for 4 years. Okay, but it was funny. So he's like, they're charging us fees. You know why they're charging us fees? Because it's their canal, and that's kind of how it works. And so why did we give it back? Because we had a treaty. Or would you have preferred we go to war with Panama? Because I heard you were anti-war, right? So how are you going to get the canal back from them? Are you going to go invade Panama for no reason, Mr. Anti-War? So look, you want to negotiate new fees and you want to use leverage that America has, and we have tons of leverage, right? That's a different issue, no problem. Okay, you do whatever you think is right. I hope you don't break too many eggs while making that omelet, et cetera. But like this kind of needless talk of like, well, maybe you should take it back. Like, what's the point? What's the point? Look, on the other hand, I think it's relatively harmless. Why? Because is he actually going to invade Panama? No, he's not going to do that. That's ridiculous, right? Is he going to go and invade Denmark to conquer Greenland? I hope not. I don't think so, right? So this is just like games they like to play. Like this is rhetorical stuff like, oh, we're going to come for Greenland and Panama. And remember, we're anti-war. Okay, look, if you want to try to buy Greenland like Truman did, no problem. Make him an offer, right? And we'll see, is it worth it for the American people or not? Of course, the problem with that kind of stuff usually, guys, though, and that happened with Alaska too. Alaska was called Seward's Folly after the Secretary of State that decided to purchase Alaska, and it turned out to be the greatest purchase, well, along with the Louisiana Purchase, that we've ever made. And it was a terrific deal. I'm super happy about it. And then we got all that oil for the American. Oh no. We got it for ExxonMobil and Chevron. When we never actually got the oil, they did. Huh. So if we get Greenland, is it for the American people and we get the copper? My guess is, just like the oil, no, the incredibly wealthy corporations will strip the place clean, and then will we get any of it? We'll get almost none of it. And why did we do all those coups and stuff like that in Latin America? And I'll pull a Trump. You ever heard of the thing called Banana Republic? Nobody had ever heard of it until I said it, okay? Anyway, they were called Banana Republics because we did a coup against them because they wouldn't sell bananas at the right price to us. The right price being lower, right? And so when we did that, did the American people get the bananas? No, the banana company got it. So we have been invading countries and bullying countries and causing all sorts of wars and global conflicts and getting hatred back towards America, not on behalf of the people of the United States of America, but on behalf of the corporations that own the government of America. So this is more of the same. If he wants to huff and puff to renegotiate fees, no big deal. If it goes any further than this silliness, then it's just a total waste of our time at a minimum, and like a weirdo tangent otherwise. But like if right-wingers online want to, be like, yeah, we're gonna get Greenland. Okay, have at it, Hoss, but we're not gonna get Greenland, and it's silly.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up that point about the banana republics and everything that has already been done in Central America by the US government, whether that was overtly or covertly. And that was one of the first things I thought of whenever he started talking about the Panama Canal and how he wants better control over it. They get to charge us fees to use it, right? They charge fees to everybody who uses that canal. That thing has revolutionized the way goods are shipped around the world, so we need it, right? There's a reason why it was built. But the idea that the United States wants something and we have this giant military behind us, it is kind of scary, that was my first thought. It's like, if you wanted to do some kind of military action and say, oh, like their government collapsed, how did that happen? I don't know. And so that gives the government a chance to be like, oh, we have to help them because they're not responsible enough to manage this giant thing that all these countries depend on. So it is kind of concerning in that sense. I don't think he's going to try to pull the same thing in Denmark. I think that would be very difficult for the United States to pull off for reasons that I'm sure you can all understand. But that is concerning for me.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's Trump logic is insane. Well, we helped Panama at one point, and we had the canal, and we had control over it. Yeah. Then we gave back because of a treaty. I don't like it, right? Well, under that logic, we also had control of France after World War II when we liberated it from the Germans. I don't want to give them any ideas. Should we go back and say, well, we had it at some point? That's it, give us France back. Well, I don't have to pay money to go to France. Why don't I just take it? What are we doing here? What is this? Did Trump get elected to invade Panama?
Well, before we go, there was one part of the story that I forgot to mention. Back during his first term as president, he did float the idea of maybe just like selling Puerto Rico and like trading Puerto Rico for Greenland because he didn't like Puerto Rico. And all this was happening while he was in Puerto Rico trying to help them recover from a hurricane. He was like, just get rid of it. Let's just get Greenland instead. So that's what we're dealing with here.
Good luck with that.
Apparently the tantrums did not stop for Christmas. Trump did spread them around, though. He was generous to quite a few people. A good number of targets, such as Chinese soldiers. Yes, what did he want with them? We'll tell you. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, probably jealous about his hair. I can see why. Sleepy Joe Biden and the left, as well as Biden's predecessor, Barack Obama. He made 34 posts in, I believe it was an hour, 60 minutes, 34 posts. It was just incredible. It might be a record, might not be. And we're going to get to the verbatim on this, Cenk, but were you, I guess, shocked to learn Trump was spending time on Truth Social instead of, he held up the upside down Bible, praying at church, maybe Christmas caroling, that kind of thing. He's always talking about Christianity and the like, hanging out with his beloved children. Barron just graduated, and even more time with the kiddos and the grandkids.
Okay, first of all, people say I tweet a lot. 34 in an hour, Jesus Lord mercy,
it's a
okay?
Record.
Secondly, so look, I live in a glass house. I also did some posts over Christmas, so I can't criticize too much on that. But to me, the most interesting part of this, Sharon, is that is his combination of like, being kind of jovial in a sense, kidding around, trolling, etc., and like saying things that previously would have be considered insane, super harsh, like deeply concerning. But I think one of the real things we got to discuss after you tell us what he said is, like, what are we to do with comments like this going forward now that we know Trump a little bit better? So tell us what he said and then we'll go over it.
Yeah, and hopefully that's rhetorical because when we get into this, it's bananas, but it's Trump, we should say. Okay, so first up, he started off great. Merry Christmas to all, including to the wonderful soldiers of China who are lovingly but illegally operating the Panama Canal, where we lost 38,000 people in its building 110 years ago. Always making certain that the United States puts in billions of dollars in repair money, but will have absolutely nothing to say about anything. Okay, so that was on Truth Social. Trump has vowed, of course, in recent days to take back the Panama Canal. He cites Ridiculous shipping fees is part of his issue there. He calling them ridiculous, which probably means he has some kind of personal financial connection to something. Something got caught up, cost him maybe a few coins, or he didn't make quite enough. Next up, he attacked Canada's prime minister, the one with the good hair, and the people of Greenland too. So let's read you that. Also to Governor, you see what he does here, Justin Trudeau of Canada, whose citizens' taxes are far too high, but if Canada was to become our 51st state, their taxes would be cut by more than 60%. Their businesses would immediately double in size, and they would be militarily protected like no other country anywhere in the world. Likewise to the people of Greenland, which is needed by the United States for national security purposes, and who want the U.S. to be there, and we will. Okay. So those two, and then there's this one. He went after, of course, Joe Biden, who's got 20 some days left. Leave the guy alone. He's trying to go on vacation with his family. And to the left, here was Trump's Christmas message to them. Again, he starts off great. Merry Christmas to the radical left lunatics that he gets right after it, who are constantly trying to obstruct our court system and our elections, and are always going after the great citizens and patriots of the United States, but in particular, their political opponent, me. They know that their only chance of survival is getting pardons from a man who has absolutely no idea what he is doing. And then just before Christmas, this was what really got him upset. Joe Biden pardoned 37 out of 40 federal death row prisoners, commuted their sentences rather. So they're now life without parole. Trump ended what seemed to be his most passionate Christmas message on that this way. Also to the 37 most violent criminals who killed, raped, plundered like virtually no one before them, but were given incredibly a pardon by sleepy Joe Biden. I refuse to wish a Merry Christmas to those lucky souls, but instead will say, go to hell. We had the greatest election in the history of our country. A bright light is now shining over the USA, and in 26 days, we will make America great again. Merry Christmas. And then let's put up the last thing, because even though he's not in office, hasn't been for a number of years, he posted this meme of Barack Obama, okay? Because mocking one US president is never enough. This is from the 2017 inauguration of one Donald Trump, smirking. And you see the caption, when you see the guy who said you'll never be president at your inauguration. Now, again, we have to be honest here in saying that this is the greatest, perhaps it just is the greatest political comeback in American history. This guy who was completely out of it is back in. He won, he did it. We could argue about the numbers, blah, blah, blah. And he just can't stop and smell the roses. I would think this would be his greatest Christmas ever. What say you, Cenk?
Yeah, no, he's an interesting cat. Like, he can't stop himself from anything.
Yeah.
And so, but it's on us to discern what's real and what's not real. So some of the stuff we're used to, Merry Christmas to the radical left lunatics, is a classic. You know, he rolls it out every year. It's like me and the kids watched Elf again, because it's a classic. You know, around this time of year, we get wished Merry Christmas by Donald Trump as the radical left lunatics, etc. And then his huffing and puffing over Greenland and Panama and Canada. I'm now a tiny bit worried about. Before I wasn't worried about it at all, as late as last week. But I began to realize, like, he might be thinking, hey, Russia took some land, Israel's taking land. Maybe will be a greater president if I could take land, because he thinks of it in terms of real estate. And then there's the hilarious parts, like on Greenland, and who want the US to be there. Like, the people of Greenland, he asserts, want us to take over Greenland. Who asked them? When did they say that? Is there a poll on it? He just loves to make stuff like that up. I do wonder, I really do, with the right wing. Like, what percentage go, well, of course I know he's making up that Greenland wants to be part of America. He's just trolling you guys. And what percentage think, oh, I bet they do. Especially if Trump asked them. Yeah, I'm positive Greenland wants to be part of America. I mean, who wouldn't, right? So I don't know. But I still,
I find it very unlikely that he is going to invade Panama, Greenland, or Canada. And if he did, though, it would break the land speed record on irony. Anti-war, we're definitely anti-war, anti-war. I mean, we're gonna invade Panama, Greenland, and Canada, but we're anti-war. So, but still, enormously unlikely, right?
I wonder though, if you're Justin Trudeau, who I believe went down to Mar-a-Lago, right, and said, let me just olive branch, let's see if we can get along. And then 10 minutes later, you're calling him governor and saying that his people are overtaxed and he can cut them by 60%. I mean, how do you even handle someone like this? You can't exactly ignore him as he talks about tariffs and all this other nonsense. You have to deal with him, but I mean, what do you do when he says something like this? Just ignore it? The media in Canada reacting. How do you handle this guy?
Well, there's two different things, right? Like, so let's assume non-representative of a country for a second. So like if I went to Mar-a-Lago, and would I? Yeah, I'd go talk to Trump. I know that would, everybody's heads would explode. But I would expect that afterwards he's gonna call me names because this is not my first rodeo. So like if you catch feelings over that, you're not getting it, right? The only way he doesn't call you names is unless you grovel and say, oh, I would love to be your governor and I hand over Canada right away, right? So that's usual, or like you've made a deal that he likes for whatever reason. But if you're the leader of a different country, Sharon, obviously it's much, much harder because as a regular citizen or member of the media or whatever, you can just ignore it, right? Or laugh at it. But so you don't want to piss off the president of the United States, no matter who it is, too much if you're Canada. So what I would do if I was him is I'd have my sense of what I'm going to do. I'm going to do X or I'm going to do Y, right? And I'm not going to get moved off of it. So as the leader of Canada. So then at that point, I know how much to push Trump, how much not to push Trump, and I know where my red lines are. And if he crosses a red line, I would then act appropriately, and we'd go tit for tat on tariffs, probably something economic, and I would buckle up and brace for impact, right? Because if you get into this significant conflict with Trump, in terms of words or finance, etc., you definitely got to buckle up. He's going to want to win that. He's going to do weird things, etc. And so you can't just willy-nilly walk into it. On the other hand, if he asks you for things that you can't give as the leader of a country, then don't give it, right? And that's life in the big city. And you wind up having this new person, and you're gonna have to find a way to deal with him. And I don't envy them. It's a tough job. But Sharon, I also thought it was interesting how he framed the Chinese. They're wonderful soldiers who are illegally operating the Panama Canal, but lovingly. So to me, that says, I don't really want to get into a fight with China too much right now. I don't know if it's Elon Musk's business interests or Trump's business interests, or if he's got something else in mind, etc. But that was noteworthy because the left is radical left lunatics, but the Chinese are wonderful soldiers who are doing things illegally but lovingly. So that's a note of concern. And lastly, look, if all he did was huff and puff to renegotiate some of the bills around the Panama Canal, sure, God bless, who cares, right? And in fact, that might be positive if he got us to pay a little bit less if we're not getting enough. But Sharon, my sense of it is that he's largely not going to do 90% of this, that he's mainly showing to his own base, I'm standing up for America and I'll push around other countries, I'll push around the left, I'll push around Joe Biden, I'll push around anyone to show you that we're America first. So it's mainly just optics.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just this, it's a case study, really. We need the best profilers on him of just this enormous chaotic word salad. It's just, these are just words, artful at times, really funny sometimes, but it's just thriving on chaos. It's why I laugh at some of my MAGA associates who say, oh, well, he's going to do this, and the bankers on Wall Street love him. I said, no, they don't. They don't. I mean, they might love both parties because they're empowered by both parties, but doesn't Wall Street like non-chaos? They like stability. They like to know where things are headed so they can make the most money and rip everybody off. But that's just me.
Yeah.
We'll move on to, no, you have something else, Cenk, you want to say?
No, just real quick. The bankers on Wall Street loving Trump is not a great case for Trump. Like if I was MAGA, I wouldn't go around bragging about that. Right? I think that the bankers love the politicians who give them everything they want. Yes, definitely both Democrats and Republicans. And so look, we're all waiting on pins and needles to see what Trump is going to do, because is he really going to do the things that some of the populists on the right want? That would be very surprising. And are they gonna catch feelings when he doesn't? Or are they just gonna be like, yeah, no, we meant war with Panama and Greenland. That's what we voted for. If they say that, wow.
They probably will. I think they will.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Marjorie Taylor Greene's not going to say that. Come on.
Oh, some
She'll be
will.
the biggest
Oh, for
spokesperson.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure some will, right?
Yeah.
But I let's see. I mean, I don't think he's gonna do that, right? But whenever he does something insane like that, it's gonna be super interesting to see how the populist right reacts.
I mean, look what we're talking about here. This is incredible.
If the president invades Panama, that's the conversation,
Panama
let alone
and this
Greenland.
stuff. Just leave Trudeau alone. He's going through his own stuff.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.